Okay, question 6. Now, this library item is something that you have seen in the LT13b when you create the book class. Okay, just that now we rename it as the library item. Okay, so take note, there are altogether 5 attributes and then three methods here. Also need to consider all the getters and all the settles. Okay, so let's start with that. Okay, the library item here. Now, when you construct a library item, you need to provide the title, the author, and the ISBN. So that one in the library item, they call it by different name. So you need to provide three argument, three inputs. One is the title. The other one, now in the library item, we call that author artist. Okay, and then also the item ID. Watch out all the capital letter, small letter, and so on. Okay, so self dot title equal to title, self dot author artist equal to author artist, and then self dot item ID equal to. Okay, the other two attributes are the self dot on loan and self dot due date. Okay, and the due date is the item, uh, is not on loan, right? Is it mentioned in the question? Uh, Item is not on loan, okay? And then when you first create the item itself, it is not on loan, so it is a false, okay? Not on loan. Then now we need to have all the getters. Don't forget the self. Return the self.title. Okay, I'm gonna copy this. Okay, so we have the get the author artist that will return the self.author artist. Get the item ID. Get the on loan. Self.on loan. Get the due date. Self.due date. Okay, so once you have that, you can create all the setter. I may not need to create a setter. Now take a look. Here, only all the getter, it didn't specify the setter. Okay, so we may not need to create a setter. Okay, the question didn't require. Okay, so I will not take the trouble of creating the setter. Let's delete that away. Okay, then here comes the utility. You have the borrowing, returning, and display. Okay, pass. pass, and then the display. Okay, so we have that. Now, just a note, we have been using the word display instead of a print. We don't want this print statement to um, get messed up with the Python print function, default print function. So that's why we choose the word display rather than print. Okay, if not, then there will be this what we call the uh, overloading, methods overloading, which is not in your syllabus, so we avoid doing that. Okay, so let's deal with the borrowing. When you borrow something, the on loan have to be updated, okay, and that will become true. Then the self dot date, okay, the due date, we need to update the due date. And if you remember from the previous lesson, how do we get the due date? We use today, okay, plus the timer. So we call that time delta, okay. And time delta, we can define what's the duration. In our case here, we want it to be 3 weeks, okay, weeks equal to 3. Okay, so that will be the due date. And then when someone return the item, then these two need to be updated also. The on loan will be now false, and then the due date, there's no more due date. The due dates will be item not on loan, okay? Item not on loan, okay? To display all the information, so we need to display all the 5 attribute, the title, so self.title, okay. What else do we have? We have the author slash artist, self dot. Next one is the item ID, followed by the two status. One is the on loan, and the due date. Okay, there we have. Now, after writing the methods and also assigning all the attributes, is important to check. Okay, so how do we check? I'm just going to use the one of the book as a library item. So my class is a library item, and I use the Harry Potter's book. Okay, and then so my book one is actually a library item. It's not a book yet. Okay, so let me check to make sure that it's working. Forget about the borrowing and the returning first. Okay, let's run. Okay, can. So I get the 5 attributes, the title, author, item ID, the whether is it on loan or not, and then what's the due date. So I got that. Let's check that the borrowing is working also. Okay, and then we have the on loan true, and then the due date is 13th of December. And then now if I were to return, and let's print the on loan status. Okay, and then the due date, let's print it. Okay, so now it's false, it's not on loan because it has been returned, and then the due date item not on loan. Lastly, to make sure that our display is working, yes, our display is over here, from here to here. Okay, So our display are all working. So we have ensured the library item class is properly defined. Okay, carry on from here. Question 6, we want to do the book subclass, and the book subclass inherits from the parents class called library item. So remember, class book bracket with the parents class, so that will inherit. Okay, but it just indicate that it will inherit from the library class item. It has not inherited yet. Okay, when you create a book item, you still need to provide the title, the author, and the item ID. So there are three things. So we call that the title, the author, and the in this case, this is the, do I call it? I'll call it the ISBN. Okay, ISBN. Okay. Now I'm going to inherit from the parents class using this super underscore init. So this constructor is from the parents class. Okay, so we are applying the, now in the parents class there are only three arguments required, which is uh, the title, the author artist, and the item ID. Okay, so what is the title? The title is still the title. For the case of the author artist, we will put in the author. In the case of the item ID, I will put in the ISBN. Okay, so in this manner, I have actually inherited. Okay, not doing any other thing, I have inherited from the parents class already. Let's try. I think I don't need to go through all this. Okay, I just print the getter, I don't do the borrowing. Okay, and I do the display. That will be good enough. Let's run. Okay, so I have the 5 attribute for the book, and then I have the display. Okay, so this indicates that I have inherited all the methods from the parents class. Okay, for the case of the book subclass. Now let's go back to the book subclass itself. It has a extra method called the is requested. Is requested. Okay, no, sorry, this is an attribute. It has a attribute called is requested. So someone can put in a request. Okay, we can set the request to be true or false. Can. So down here, in order to have a new attribute, I need to put it inside the constructor. So this is the new attribute self dot is requested. Okay, so originally when you create a new book item, it is not requested, so it is false. Cannot. And then later on somebody can request for it. So because of this attribute, the parents class don't know how to handle it, so you need to have the getter get is requested in the child class, which is the book subclass. Okay, and then don't forget the self, and we just need to return the attributes. The value of this attribute is requested, self dot is requested. I can also change the status, okay, by using a setter. So when we want to request for something, we don't really need to provide an input. We just say set the requested. Okay, set it. And once you set it, this fella, the is requested attribute will become true. Okay, I repeat here again. When you call for is requested, why do I demonstrate over here? Is requested. Okay, so I have the items, I have that. Okay, here. So the book one, get is requested. Okay, let me do a print. So it's originally a false. Someone want to request it. All you need to do is book one set is requested. Okay, without any input. I just want to request it. Okay, and after that, the is requested will change its status to a true. Okay, let's run. Okay, originally it was false here. Originally it was false, and then when you request for something, then it becomes true. The book has been requested here. Okay, so there is no argument needed when you use the is requested. Can? So are we done with the book? No, we are not done with the book. There is a display asterisk here. So this display and this display, they uses the same name, but then it will perform or it will behave slightly differently. Let's take a look at the display. Um, Not really mentioned here. Not really mentioned here in the methods for the display. So we just want to make sure that the display in the book and the CD will be looks different from the parents. Okay, so let me try to do the is display class. Okay, now let me copy from the parents class is display so that I can modify. Come, let's over here, here. Okay, so we are doing what we call polymorphism. Okay, so that when we call display, it will still appear the title, but it will not label as author artist because a book is definitely an author. Okay, then instead of item ID, we say that this is the ISBN. Okay, and the rest is the same. And maybe if I want to make it a little bit more distinct, I can say that the book item. Okay, so book item, I can do that. Okay, so now when I call on display, right, let me comment off the rest. Okay, if without all the attributes, because I know they're all functioning already. Okay, so I create a book item and then I just call for display. Let's take a look there. So this display now shows that it is a book item. It shows that it's an author, it's an ISBN, which is different from the parents one. The parents one will show as a title, author, artist, item ID. So it looks different. So this is called polymorphism. Okay. So we have created the subclass for the book. Let's do the subclass for the CD. Okay, when you create the CD, you also need to provide the title, the singer, the artist, and then some kind of item ID. Okay, let's take a look at the attribute name for the CD. CD is called no, they didn't give the attribute names, so we can just call it uh, the title, the author, not the author, the artist, and the item ID. We can call that. Okay, so let's go on here. Okay, so three things for the constructor of a CD. You need the title, you need the artist, and you need the item ID. Okay, and then when we want to inherit from the parents class, we use the super init bracket dot init. So this is the constructor of the parents class, and the parents class also need three things, right? So we just put all these three things into the parents class. Okay, and then once that's done, without any other method, if I were to create the CD by this Justin Bieber, then this will be the CD. I can get all the five attribute, or all these five getters are from the parents class. Let's don't do the borrowing and the returning first. Okay, and then let's display. Okay, let's run. Okay, can. So you can recognize here that at this point, the display is actually from the parents class because it mentioned here author, artist, item ID, and so on and so forth. Okay, can. So if I were to just copy the display from the book, okay, I can modify the display for the CD class. Okay, let me copy again. So this will override the so this is not a book item already, it's a CD item. And then we have the title, we have the artist, and it is not a ISBN, it's just an item number. Okay, I think every CD has a item number. Okay, on loan on carding. Okay, let's run. Okay, and you can see now that the display behave differently. So this is the child class one. Okay, so a little bit on that. Let's go back to our original question. Now, for CD, there is an additional attribute called genre. Okay, and then the display. So genre, if you have the attribute, you also need to have the getter and the setter of it. Okay, so let's put in the attribute first. The additional attribute need to be added into the constructor. So that is under the init. Okay, self dot genre. Okay, initially it is left as an empty string. Cannot leave it as empty. Did the question say something about that? The genre, additional attribute genre, it didn't say much about it, but we leave it as an empty string. It's okay. And then we need to have a getter, define a getter called the get genre, and don't forget the self. What do? We return the self dot genre. Okay, and then you have the setter, and then this setter, I will have to provide a new genre, and then this self dot genre will be updated. Okay, so we have this additional genre, but the problem is that in our display we didn't display the genre, right? So I can actually display the genre here. Okay, print uh, genre. Okay, and then self dot genre. Okay, this is one way of doing. Let's okay, and then let me set uh, the CD1 sets the genre. Okay, so now this particular album by Justin Bieber is a pop. Okay, so it's a pop kind of CD. And then when I do a display, you can take a look. Okay, now it has a genre added behind. Okay, I want to show you another thing about you inheriting the method from the parents class. You realize that this portion is largely repetitive. Okay, this portion is largely repetitive, similar to the parent class, except for the artist. There's nothing much I can do with the artist thing. Okay, so let me delete away this and try to inherit the method from the parents class using super and use the display from the parent. Okay, so this is using the display method from the parent class. Okay, so if I use the display method from the parent class, for the it will display as an author artist. Okay, it will display as an author artist. I can't help that. Okay, I don't want to modify that the label. So let's run. Okay, so take a look. The author artist is here. Okay, and then the header of a CD item, and then the last attribute on the genre appears also here. Cannot. So we can do this thing, same for the book also. That means the book, if we don't want to override this, we can change this to say that it is super, okay, and then use the display from the parent class, and then we run it, okay, so it will appear as that, a book item. Cannot. Okay, so I have more or less covered everything. about the inheriting from the parents class called library item for both the subclasses book and CD. Okay, that's all for today's lesson.